Good day, everyone. I hope everyone is having a good day. I am to myself. Uh, Please like, subscribe, and share. I usually talk about politics, geopolitics, and give a shared and account of how I see things are going. So please subscribe and share. So today I'm going to talk about this new Cold War that is breeding in the world today, an alliance of two systems, because now we see that Russia has been pushed to Chinese arms, and Iran and North Korea and countries like Venezuela. And on the other side, we see a Western side, of countries, they call themselves democracies. The Western Europe, the America, Canada, Australia, Japan, South Korea, and some Asian countries. So we need to understand. So I'll be looking at which system wins in terms of not just military, but economic and mindset. So here we have two systems. First of all, I'll start with the military aspect. If war was to happen today between, let's say, a non-nuclear war, where the West and China and Russia and Iran were to go to war with the West, through prediction and through looking at the military spending and how things are going, the West will definitely win the war because apart from NATO, America is a very interesting country because America has so many military alliances that this ensures that America becomes the big dog when it comes to geopolitics and maintaining the rule-based order. So if you look at the military budgets of Iran, China and Russia and North Korea, they amount to 360 billion dollars a year. And China is contributing almost two-thirds of that budget. So China is the big dog in that, in that military alliance, the so-called, if it was to happen. But if you go on the other side and you look at the Western alliance, it's one big, apart from NATO, NATO military budget is almost 20 times that of Russia. Current budget, even before the country decided to commit to rearmament, the current budget of NATO, the current, let's say even the last year budget, even before this war started, still NATO had a very big budget. Let's not forget that 3/4 of this budget is the American budget. So if you put NATO, and then you put these all other alliances, the Quad, the Quad, India, Australia, Japan, America, you put AUKUS. AUKUS is Australia, Britain, and America. Then, they have military alliances with South Korea, military alliances with New Zealand, Singapore, Malaysia. You put all these countries together, the total military budget comes to $1.3 trillion a year, vis-a-vis the other side, which is Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea, which comes to 360 billion. So you see that the American alliance military budget, when you subtract with the Chinese alliance and Russia alliance military budget, you find that America budget surpasses this other group by 1 trillion. So if war was to happen today, it is very clear that the Americans will doing, and you can see that even though Russia has been making gains in Ukraine, has been very strategic in their movement in Ukraine, crushing Ukraine. But you can see that Ukraine has resisted because still today Ukraine hasn't fallen. So it means that even the money that the Western government are giving Ukraine and the equipments have been very helpful. And America has only been able to provide $15 billion. This is just $15 billion. And, so you can see that the American alliance, if war was to happen today, it will be a very big force to reckon with. And that's why you see even on the Taiwan issue that China is trying to flex, but it cannot flex. It still understands that America is still, has the biggest capable navy in the world. Let's not forget the Obama administration pivot to Asia. He was the one who launched the pivot to Asia, moving American 60%, 70% naval forces to the South Pacific because he knew that this is where tension were. China was denying countries freedom of navigation, making islands, pretending they were tourist islands, but they came to be known as military islands. They armed the islands. So when you see this, it shows you that the American might is very heavy. Through AUKUS, Britain has also decided to start patrolling the South China Sea. The AUKUS agreement also, ensures that, you know, the AUKUS agreement, Australia, UK, and America ensures that America provides a nuclear capable missile and not nuclear capable missile, nuclear capable technology on Australian submarines by 2030. And this technology has only been given to Britain, no other country. So they have an agreement to supply Australia with nuclear capable submarines that can patrol the South China Sea, the waters around Australia for almost 30 years. And we need to understand that Australia is very fearful of growing aggression China. China has already, signed a deal, of being allowed to use the Solomon Island ports, for its ships to come and dock. And Australia is fearing that the port might be converted to a military base. And, the port is near Australia, and we all understand that China have one of the best hypersonic missile capabilities. So if a port is, if they were to militarize that port, it means that missiles could reach Australia within minutes, if not seconds. So it shows that there's a growing worry, but it's America is now starting to flex and activate these old alliances. AUKUS was Quad was an alliance that was opened in 2007, but it became dormant, and then it was revamped back in 2017, when now America started fearing the rise of China. So if you look at a military standpoint, the American, the Western military alliance still remain the most potent force in the world in terms of, mobilization, logistic, military. America has ensured, even though it has had failures in the Middle East, it still has maintained that, foothold in in the military prowess. When you come to the economy, on the other thing, you look at all these countries on the Western sides, they are the most advanced in terms of economy, because even now, even when the war happened, we came to realize that even Russia was depending so much on Western, on Western financial system. Even though the Western financial industries are depending on oil, Russia was depending because the oligarchs invested in Britain. They could go to Monaco, Italy, until the war started, oil was being traded in euros. So it means also the Russians recognize the financial power of America. Even China also recognizes the financial power of the Western side, because the largest trading partner of China is Europe. So most of the goods that China produce goes to Europe. So if you look at all those things, you start to realize, even though they're connected, this other side seems to depend more on the Western side. And that way it was easy for, the Europeans to sanction and cut off Russia, even though it has hurt them very bad because to an energy crisis. But also that's why you see also China is on the sideline. It's very afraid to commit to such kind of aggression over Taiwan, because it knows what will happen. It has been warned. It has seen what has happened to Russia. It's very fearful. Most Chinese companies, they were in the New York Stock Exchange, they were benefiting. If you go to China, Hong Kong, the one that was a former British colonies controlled by, which had an influx of Western capital, was more advanced than the other sides of China, because Hong Kong was a very different administration, because it still, relied on the Western kind of financial system. So it shows you that the Western financial system has a certain hold on, it won't be easy to remove it, as people say, because if you see now, even the even the pipeline, the issue that the Russians are saying the pipeline had issues, the system of pumping gas to Europe had issues. Not the current issue. Like a month ago, they slowed down the transmission of gas, saying that their system had issue. The components had to be taken to Canada to be fixed and brought back. So it shows you some, it shows you some, some prowess in terms of Western technology. And when you listen to people like Stephen Hawking, a very good historian, I admire the guy very much. He argues very perfectly. Even if Russia is dominating, Putin understands that even when he sits at the table, and he's making a rocket or a bomb, or a defense system, he notices that some of the components don't only come from Russia, some come from America, some come from Taiwan, so he now understands this, and all these are American allies. So for him even to be shut off, he understands that he will lose some of these components, R&D. We know America is the best in research and development when it comes to technology. So he understands that he will lose something. When you look at China, for China to rise, it had to send most of its students to study in America and then come back and bring the ideas. When Chinese factories were starting, they were using Germans machines to make the products. Most of the companies, the machines that were using in the factories were imported from Germany. So this is just to show you that even though there is this talk of China rising, Russia rising, to remove the American dominance or the Western dominant civilization, it won't be an easy feat, because they've not only made sure that they have the most potent army, they made sure that the most potent economies are theirs, and they've also made sure that their currencies are very international. When you look on the other side, the yuan comes number 4 in terms of international capability currency. The first, number 5, the first 4 currencies are Western Alliance currency. The first is the dollar, as we all know. The second, the euro. The third, the pound. The fourth, the Japanese yen, and then the Chinese yuan. So you see that it won't be easy as people are putting, because I've noticed, when I hear about the rise of China, people are putting like it's gonna happen in 5. No. 5, it cannot. This is a system that you cannot just dismantle militarily. It has to be dismantled economically, mindset-wise, how people think culturally. Because even if you see with the rise of, of technology and social media, most social medias that we use in our phones are Western made. So it also has to be a dismantle of culture. People, even these days, you go all over the world, everyone is behaving, is becoming westernized. Even China, when you go there, the elites are becoming, they want to be like, westernized. You go to Russia, the same. Most of these Russians oligarchs used to live in Europe. So it shows you that the Western power is not just at losing war Ukraine. I feel this is just a small feat, and that's why I agree with Secretary Blinken when he was saying that Russia, of course, has attacked most Eastern European countries like Georgia, Ukraine, but at the end of the day, Putin understands. He was arguing that Secretary Blinken was saying that Russia has never attacked a NATO country, and I agree with Blinken, because even though Putin is, he wants to bring the old Soviet empire back, he still understands that he's not yet ready to confront NATO. And this is purely on a nuclear basis, because if they were to use nuclear, then there'll be no winner. But if it was just a military confrontation like the one happening in Ukraine, I feel that Russia wouldn't chance a chance, because the mobilization that the Western governments have, it's crazy. It's so humongous. It's so crazy, because now you see, you see even the top 10 countries that spend the military on military. Most of them are Western countries. Germany now is spending. It's supposed to be the 3rd most powerful military in the world. So it's going to be America, and then China, and then Germany. There's India in that list. There's Britain in that list. There's France in that list. So you look at that structure, and then you start to see that it's not an easy feat. You see where semiconductors are made. They're made in Taiwan. Taiwan is the best in terms of semiconductors. Semiconductors are very important components in missile, in gadgets. And when you see that Taiwan is very allied to America, the other day just signed a CHIPS Act deal, investing $50 billion into semiconductor production in America, because they want these assets to be in their country, because they realize through COVID that PPEs and all these medical equipments are being manufactured in China and then sent to America. And because of COVID, China stopped exportation, and Americans, they see that they had to suffer. So they want to move all vital, manufacturing vital products into their own country. And when you look also, how even Russia, when it attacks Ukraine, it was immediately switch off the banking system. Of course, they're using the SWIFT, the Chinese banking system, but the SWIFT of the Western banking system control 98% banking of the banking industry. When you saw that Russia invaded Ukraine, it was cut off from shipping insurance. The largest that insurance company of ships that control 98% of all ships shipping shipping insurance in the world is in Britain. So I'm just giving you a perspective of how it won't be as easy as they think, because even when you say Iran, if you look at Iran, most alliances in the Middle East are supporting America. Qatar, Britain, and America. United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, we all know Israel. So Jordan. So I'm just trying to give you an architecture of how it won't be that easy. It won't be that easy. And you see now, because of even the war in Russia, the Western alliances have decided to ramp up even production of research and development technology, cyber warfare, protect themselves from cyber warfare, and also ensure they're capable of doing the same, of committing cyber warfare, increased military budgets, trying now to control the narrative, because they've seen there's a rise of fascism, of authoritarianism. So they're trying to control the narrative. But for me, it is very hard to demote the Western alliance, because they've infiltrated not only military, economically, culturally, mindset. It's so deep. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take time. I even feel the best way for the Western ideology to collapse probably is from within, not from outside pressure like Russia and China. I don't think they can succeed, because this alliance is very dominant and more potent than ever. Anyway, guys, it's always good to engage. That was just my thought on, because I've been hearing a lot of people saying China is rising, Russia is rising, this is going to change the world domination is going to come. No, 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 no. When you look at the real facts, because me, I always base my research on facts on the ground. You take the numbers, you take the economies of this country, the military, how they are doing, and you see how these other countries are doing. There's no way. There's no way. These other countries are just spoilers. You can't miss out spoilers in a system. We can't all agree on anything what the world will be. What I believe in is not what you believe. So, but we need to understand that the Western, the Western civilization won't just collapse like 5 years or 10 years by 2030. China is super. No, no, no. It's gonna take time. Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure talking to you and sharing ideas. Please engage me on the comment. I've been very happy. There's some good people who have been engaging me. There's this guy from Pakistan who has engaged me very well, and I really appreciate. Thanks so much. Cheers.